Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. It's Dr. Ruddy. Today's topic for Morning Rounds is, why do men get breast cancer? It might be worthwhile, before we begin, to take a look at the statistics on male breast cancer here in the United States. Only about 1% of the new cases of breast cancer occur in men, which amounts to a little over 2,000 cases a year, which is about 5 new cases of breast cancer in men every day. And while that is not common, say not as common as Oregon beating Kansas or South Carolina making it to the Final Four, it's not nothing. So why do men get breast cancer? Well, to put it simply, men get breast cancer for the same reasons that women get breast cancer. So let's break it down. The first is a genetic predisposition. So men who have a BRCA mutation, particularly a BRCA2 mutation, have an increased risk for breast cancer. Well, you might say, but there are a lot of women out there with a BRCA mutation. As a matter of fact, 1% of the women of Ashkenazi Jewish descent carry a BRCA mutation. And of course, that is true for men of Ashkenazi Jewish descent. So why don't more Jewish men get breast cancer? And the answer to that has to do with the second reason that men and women get breast cancer, and that has to do with estrogen. And therein lies the difference. So estrogen is like gasoline. It fuels the growth of breast cancer. And women, of course, make far more estrogen than men do. Men make some, but not much. And women make it for all of their reproductive years. And if they use birth control pills or hormone replacement therapy, they take on extra amounts of estrogen, which puts them at an increased risk for breast cancer. So estrogen is the second ingredient that is required really for the development of breast cancer. Well then, you could say, why do men get breast cancer? Well, because they have the genetic predisposition, and because for reasons that are not quite clear, some of them are exposed to estrogen or estrogen-like compounds, what we call estrogenic compounds. There's a very interesting case of this estrogenic compound causing breast cancer in men, and it occurred in a group of Marines, men, at Camp Lejeune. I don't know if you're aware of this, but over 100 men, Marines, who worked or were stationed at Camp Lejeune over a period of about 30 years, between 1953 and 1987, I believe, were diagnosed with breast cancer. Other men were diagnosed with other forms of cancer, but obviously this cluster of breast cancer in male Marines got everyone's attention. And that is really what precipitated the search for what was in the environment that might be behind this. And it turns out that there was a toxic spill of a chemical associated with the dry cleaning industry. The chemical is called tetrachloroethylene, and it is a solvent that is used in dry cleaning. There was a spill, a chronic contamination of the groundwater, and these men were exposed to this chemical, and this chemical is highly estrogenic. As a matter of fact, it's very potent, really. If you ingest it, you absorb 100% of it, and it circulates to every tissue in your body, but it is concentrated in the breast. It is very attracted to anything that is fatty tissue, and the breast is in large part composed of fat. Not only that, but this compound is concentrated in breast tissue. And by that I mean that whereas the compound will be circulated throughout your body, it will be found in higher concentrations in the breast and in breast milk. So these men, these Marines, were exposed to this estrogenic compound found in dry cleaning fluid, and they then developed breast cancer in a very alarming number. It's interesting to ask the question, what about the women? Because I've not seen any report of the incidence of breast cancer in the wives or the females who were stationed at Camp Lejeune. And one can presume that they too would have had an increased risk for breast cancer, but I haven't seen that this has been investigated or reported or discussed. In any case, let's move on to the third reason that men get breast cancer, for the same reasons that women get breast cancer. And this is very likely related to the virus that I was talking about previously, the virus that causes breast cancer in mice, and that scientists now believe plays a role in 40 to 94% of female breast cancer, has been found in one study published in 2004 in 62% of men with breast cancer. So men get breast cancer for the same reasons that women get breast cancer, because they have a genetic predisposition, because they're exposed to estrogen or estrogenic compounds in the environment, and because they may be infected with this virus that we know causes breast cancer in mice, and that has been found in cats and dogs, and a very large portion of women with breast cancer, and as I say, in 62% of men with breast cancer. So that's it for today. Please leave your comments and questions below. Please like, follow, share, subscribe. You know the drill. And now I'll give you a link to another rather rare event. This is the last play of the 7th game in which the Cubs won the World Series. Thanks so much. Thumbs up to you and thumbs down to breast cancer.